Raw the Podcast is sponsored by Green Farm Juicery. Green Farm Juicery is a neighborhood juice bar specializing in cold-pressed juice, smoothies, smoothie bowls, snacks, and is always all organic, gluten-free, and dairy-free. Green Farm Juicery makes in-house cold-pressed juices daily that are never HPP processed, so you can assure the highest form of nutrient density and health for longevity. You might have heard Melissa, the owner of the Bay Village, Ohio location, on season 1 of my podcast, where we talked all about the health benefits of juicing. Go back to listen to that and make sure to check out Green Farm Juicery in Ohio at their multiple locations. Everything is made on site and with love. Not only is it a great place to grab food to go that is healthy and safe, but they are also juice cleanse specialists, helping you kick off your new year right. Follow them at Green Farm Juicery Clee if you're local, and check them out today. Thank you, Green Farm Juicery, for sponsoring the podcast. Back to Raw the Podcast. I'm your host, Allie, founder of TheCheekyClean and ConsciousCart, LLC, a juicy little resource for helping consumers live more intentionally. I am so honored to be here on episode 2 of season 2 with Lisa Turner. Lisa and I met during my yoga teacher training last year. I was super impressed and inspired by her work. She is a professional astrologer of 10 plus years, graduate of Astro College. She's the owner of Stars in Stillness, intuitively guided celestial meditations. She's a 300-hour certified registered yoga teacher, and she skillfully combines astrology and yoga, guiding students and clients through wellness and transformation, and honestly just an overall inspiration. I've been following you since. So we're so excited. I felt Lisa would be a perfect guest as we're getting started into a new year, and we look forward to helping you gain a new perspective and think a little bit differently to be your best self as you head into the year of the horse. And with that, Lisa, welcome to Raw the Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so you, I think, guest taught our YTT a couple times, and some that were just like the classroom style astrology sessions, which I feel that I've always been interested in astrology and kind of self-studied a little bit. I've always found it to be a very ancient practice and tried to learn. I study a lot of different ancient practices, but tried to learn in books and things that are outside maybe like social media norms and things like that. So on the days that you taught us, I mean, it was like mind-blowing how much I didn't know.
It is. It is. It is. And it's easy to, it can be easy to get overwhelmed, and it can also create, wanting to go down the rabbit hole of Google.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's, I think, a great example of an ancient practice that really can't be learned by just a Google search or like a social media scroll, which is important to keep in mind, and why I had wanted to have you as a professional on today.
Thank you.
Because it's so powerful, but you need a professional who's genuinely studied and done the work.
Absolutely. Because you can seed fear in yourself, whether it's intentional or not. Or you can get overjoyed that you're going to have like a windfall of some sort, and then be disappointed, if it doesn't happen, or like waiting for that thing to happen because you thought that you saw it when you connected these things together, in your chart. Not to say that there's not some accuracy when you do a Google search. I think that, and I've done an experiment because, AI now is like the new thing, going, how much can AI really look at a chart? And what I've noticed is it doesn't synthesize it well. So when you're sitting down with a professional, myself, they're looking at your whole chart. And again, it's like you and I, it's a dialogue, and it's putting everything into context and synthesizing the chart. So, the signs, the aspects, the houses, and how it can manifest. AI doesn't do that. Could it do it in the future? Maybe. I don't know. But, at the moment, it's the astrologer that's really helping, everything kind of come together.
And I do think there's this level of energetic connection as well, right? That really is not feasible through a computer.
Absolutely.
And that's a powerful thing. I mean, we as humans are made of energy.
Absolutely.
And when you have that, it's like Reiki almost. Like when you have that connection with someone who's able to kind of like understand and intuitively help guide you, it's a different level.
Absolutely.
So I was super inspired by I actually still want to get like a formal reading from you, and this is perfect time. So I'm going to like take that note. But you also were, I mean, probably one of the most skilled yoga teachers with your classes that I've ever experienced.
Well, thank you.
And your personal practice is so beautiful.
Thank you.
You were a dancer growing up, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, and I was a gymnast, very different. But similar dynamic that I could understand in maybe like discipline, alignment, things like that. I mean, you really helped us learn this importance of doing the poses right and safely.
Yeah, because you're going to go out, as yoga teachers in training, and you're going to teach other people. And even if you can't fully get into the pose, at least you know the building blocks to help not only your practice, but then to help other students as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So super powerful. And then you're also a great speaker, which I think is unique to have these kind of like, like celestial characteristics about you and this like really bright spirit, but then also be able to have a dialogue that helps translate that into students.
Thank you.
So you are a teacher at heart. When we finished our class, you recommended Insight Timer, where some of your meditations are at, and you do these guided meditations in alignment with astrology and what's going on in the skies.
Yeah.
And that was my first time on Insight Timer. It's become an incredible resource for me since, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Even not just your
There's
meditations,
some pretty amazing
which are
people
so
on there.
beautiful, and I don't even have the paid for one.
No,
it's
even
free.
the free, yeah.
And I use it every single day, morning and night, in addition to some of the other like meditation practices that I do. But it's a really great resource.
It is.
For mindfulness. So thank you for that. But anyway, so I wanted to start by kind of learning a little bit. So you're 10 plus years in both astrology and yoga teaching, right?
Yeah.
So how did you come to this practice? Is there, like, have you always been interested in these types of maybe esoteric type teachings, or were you doing something a little bit more like societally mainstream?
What high school girl didn't want, I shouldn't say that, not everybody, but like there's, those groups of girls in junior high school that are, loved the witchy stuff and, all those kind of rituals. So, it started there. My mom would always see an astrologer. And I didn't know too much about it, but right around like 15, she took me to, she bought me an astrology reading. It's cool. Like, I can't say that anything was really life-changing. As I got older, right around that infamous Saturn return, life started kind of falling apart. Life started getting difficult, and I wanted to know why. So I had a teacher, astrologer at the time, and we started taking private courses, just her and I.
And like, how old are you ish?
Like 28.
Okay.
Somewhere in that, like I said, right around my Saturn return.
Yeah. And Saturn return is what?
Crowd. You have Saturn natally in your chart, and then Saturn takes about 28 and a half years to make its return back to itself. So anytime a planet returns back to itself, it is a return. And in this case, it's your Saturn return. And major life things happen during that Saturn return, especially where Saturn is in the chart. Kind of will give you the themes of that. And I wanted to quit smoking. So as healthy as I thought I was, I tell this story all the time. I would go run 6 miles and I would come home, dripped in sweat, and I'd light up a cigarette. And I tried to tell my doctor that the running was cleaning out my lungs. It doesn't work that way.
Balancing it out for you. Oh my gosh.
But I wanted to quit smoking. I didn't want to be an old lady smoker. And something happened when I quit smoking. Saturn returned. Saturn's in my 6th house of health, of work, daily routines, and I started having panic attacks. So I had this breakdown of a lot of different health things during my Saturn return, but I needed to know the why.
Got it.
So with that, I dove into real school and went through certification.
Wow. So that's when you went through astrology school? Mm-hmm. Got it. And
Yeah.
so you've been kind of like doing this for, professionally and personally
Yes.
for like a lifetime almost.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool.
For a long time.
And you grew up in the Cleveland area or Midwest?
I grew up in the Cleveland area. I took a short stint in Arizona when I was younger, and then back to Cleveland.
Yeah, because it seems like you come from a evolved family in the scheme of like thinking differently maybe than some in the Midwest. You mentioned before we got started that your grandmother was very into functional medicine.
Yes. My dad's side of the family is very into functional medicine. I was definitely raised in that kind of niche. My dad, when I was younger, would, do the carrot juice, and then he'd play around to be funny to do potato juice.
Oh gosh, that's so funny.
But again, what can we get through food versus medication? My grandmother, who passed away in her 90s, and I still have one grandmother still alive. No medication.
Wow, that's so cool.
No
I mean, I
medication.
think it's so incredible exposure to that. And I'm sure, you pass it on to those in your life as well. So interesting. So you actively teach yoga currently.
I do.
A few days a week. And you also do private clients for astrology mostly, or is it like kind of the like yoga astrology mix?
So I teach my regular classes, and then I have 2 donation classes once a month.
Cool.
And those are a new moon class, and then a vinyasa that has lunar returns. So we're familiar with like the solar return at your birthday, but we also have a lunar return that kind of colors the energy of the month. So anything that I do astrologically through yoga when I'm looking at charts are all donation based, because not everybody can afford a full reading.
That's cool.
But you can get a lot of information just coming to new moon or lunar returns.
Very cool.
I was able to predict pregnancy just because this husband and wife, they would come together. So I was able to look at both of their charts all the time. And because they, if a baby's coming, it's going to show up in both of their charts.
Wow.
So yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about astrology in general. So like when I was like researching like the formal definition, I liked this one. Astrology is a historical framework for correlating celestial cycles with recurring patterns in human behavior and environmental change.
I like that, yeah.
So how would you describe it as a tool for people? Like, would you say it's more of a like perspective, or it's a predictor?
There are some astrologers who don't do predictive work. So I should say that. There are some astrologers that don't do predictive work. They usually just stick with like your natal charts. So they're looking at, your characteristics, the blueprint that you came into this life with. I like predictive work because I want to know why things are happening, and I want to get an idea of where is life leading me, and how can I best use the energy, right? This is an experience. Any experience that we have, I take the approach in all of life, even working with astrology clients. We are soulful beings.
Yeah.
So our soul is here to experience life,
Yes.
to grow, to evolve. So that's the way I use the astrology. I'm looking at your natal chart, I'm looking at the transits, I'm looking at all of the other predictive charts that we used, going, okay, in this moment of time, what is the most important thing that the universe is asking you to work with?
So powerful. So for me, I think there's a lot of misconceptions, and we'll talk about it a little bit, just especially as social media has grown and just this plethora of information that just gets thrown out there and is kind of like trendy and things like that. But there are, and that's why I said, oh, you're from the Midwest. I lived in California. In California, I think it's like a lot more common.
Oh, yeah.
To see astrology as a useful practice for many people. Whereas a lot of times here in the Midwest, I hear people say like, oh, that's not real. And I just can't imagine how we have watch the Nature Channel. There's full animal species, entire oceans whose tides are changed by the location of the moon. We are full of water as humans. Like, there is no way that we are not connected to these planets?
I think it's how it's communicated. You know, like I'm not, and I do have sometimes, I don't have a lot of them anymore, but sometimes people come in for a consultation and they're expecting me to like look into a crystal ball and know everything about your life.
Yeah.
I don't. Mm-hmm. And I think that any astrologer who tells you I am 100% accurate or I can tell you exactly what's going to happen, they're lying to you.
Percent. Wow. Exactly. And it's like, and you're only able to kind of like maybe navigate people towards, like you said, this natal chart and where there are different obvious patterns.
Yes, I think that I can say that I'm looking at all of these charts, and out of all of these charts and sitting with you, I am making the best educated guess based upon what I'm seeing. And that's about as good as I get.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it's cool the way you're so honest about that. And you're like, this isn't, you know, I'm sure there's been people
God
in your
has
life
not tapped me on the head saying, I'm going to give you all the answers. That has not happened.
Totally.
But it's knowing how to read the charts. Like I said, it's you have to know how to read them.
And every one of us as humans has this blueprint based on the time we were born and the location, correct?
Correct.
How important is that accuracy?
That time is so accurate.
It is.
It is very, very accurate. I tell this story when someone brings up the time. I had a reading with a client and we were going through the reading, and everything that I was looking at that was coming, it hadn't happened yet, that it was coming, they were like, oh my gosh, like I feel that already. I actually stopped the reading and I said, something's wrong. Your time is off. Like something's not right. And her time was off.
Like how off?
I don't remember. But it was off enough that it shifts the degrees, right? It shifts the chart.
Totally. I know. So the reason why I ask is because I don't know my birth time exactly. And both my parents are passed away. And I don't have my original birth certificate. And so I've like asked my brothers and they're like, I think it's around 8:30. And I think I remember it being around 8:30. But I always wonder if I get a chart reading, like, is it going to be accurate if it's not to the exact minute?
It is going to be accurate as it can be. Vital statistics, I do have clients who will call and they will you have to ask for the birth certificate that has your time. You have to specifically say, I want the one that has the time on it.
And is Vital Statistics is the website?
It's who houses our birth certificates.
Okay. Because I was thinking I have to like call the hospital and try to like track it down or something like that.
I mean, maybe, but I think it's just Vital Statistics.
Cool.
I could be wrong.
Because I definitely like did some sort of like get your birth certificate and it was without the time.
Right.
And I was like so excited. I like opened up the mail. I'm like, shit.
Yeah. There are astrologers who will rectify a chart for you. I don't do that. So I would definitely, if you wanted to do that, go to someone who like does it regularly and it's in their practice.
Rectify meaning?
Meaning that they will take major events in your life and piece together your best birth time.
Cool.
Takes a lot of work.
Yeah, like I'm pretty like I'm positive it's around 8:30. I just don't know the exact minute. You know what I mean? I'm like, I feel like I want the exact. So what what annoys you as a professional astrologer with some of the like woo-woo information that's put out on social media? Like, is there anything that you're ever like, this is so silly? I'm sure, because it's crazy.
Yes. The retrogrades always are nails against a chalkboard for me. You know, it's one of the things that in YTT, I hand out this list to show all of the students, all the planets that go retrograde, specifically the outer planets that go retrograde, and the large chunk of time that they are actually going retrograde. Actually don't really put a lot of emphasis on Mercury retrogrades the way that, the pop, online astrologers. Yeah. I do put a lot of emphasis on Mars and Venus retrogrades. I do. It is one of the ones that I do put some
and you never
weight
hear
into.
about that on Instagram.
Not often. You hear about, and I think that's where I get turned off and frustrated. It's the astrologers who are there very like extreme in the woo-woo. You will rarely ever hear me talk about a past life because I don't know what I don't know. Some astrologers, will talk about, you have, karmic things through your grandparent. If I can't prove it through the astrology, I don't talk about it.
And like see it in the chart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't hear me talk like that. I will talk about some karmic things, right? Saturn is a planet of time, of karma. Sometimes nodal things I'll bring up. And I usually, if you have something to one of the nodes, I'll often say, if you had a past life, this is something you would have brought in.
Got it.
I just kind of like rephrase it a
Yeah,
little
and
bit.
I think that's powerful because it's like, and then it's almost like people will take things so literally.
Yes.
And that could be almost limiting thought-wise for them.
Absolutely.
And
people, I get this all the time as well. They're listening to some online astrologer and it's like that hype that we hear in the news that creates this reaction. So then I have, then they hear that and then they come to me going, oh my God, what's going on? You have to tell me. And that this sense of panic is overwhelming to them.
they need an answer.
Right. Or you have, Sagittarius is going to have a great year. That's a very big, broad blanket statement because you don't know what that chart looks like.
Totally.
And you don't know what else is going on in the chart. So
Yes.
I refrain from making those big, broad strokes.
That makes sense. I would say the majority of people who I meet in the Midwest area know their sun sign. And so can you explain exactly what a sun sign is? That's just like your main personality?
It's like the core of who you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when you're born, the month you're born in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which determines your sun sign.
Yep.
And it's the core of who you are. How does that differ from moon and rising when it comes to personality?
So the rising sign I like is the peacock feathers, right? It's the personality you put out into the world. Like it's who you meet, right?
Interesting.
When we date
Yeah.
or we meet someone, we usually, we fall in love with their sun sign, their rising sign, because it's who they keep putting out to us.
Interesting.
Which is why after a couple years, you get married, right? 2 years later, hopefully, you date a little bit, get married, and then you're like, who is this person?
100%.
Well, now you're meeting their sun sign, right?
Who they really are.
Who they really are.
Yeah, for sure. And then how does moon fit
And
in
then
that?
the moon colors your emotional needs, right?
Yeah. Got it. That's so interesting. And then each planet is associated with an element, right? Ish.
We're going to all I'm gonna think about how to answer that.
Yeah.
We all have, every planet is going to be in an element
Got it.
and in a sign.
In an element and in a sign.
So the way I was taught that I think that most astrologers, still use is the planet is the actor. I do this in YTT. The planet is the actor. The sign is the costume, right? The way in which that planet is dressing itself up to be.
Got it.
House that the planet is in is the stage in which it performs, right? It's where it's expressing.
So cool. Yeah, it's just, and those are just 3 characteristics. And I think that's what blew my mind the most is when, we all had to bring in our birth charts and it's like, that's just like this much
Yes.
of what information is available to you to learn from a birth chart. And so few people know how to read it. And it's not easy to read it.
It is not.
Yeah. So I understand why you have to go to Astro College to get there.
You do. You have to kind of take a minute. And there's many things I loved about going through the proper channels to get certified. And one of them is you are exposed to everything. You are exposed to working with the stars. You're exposed to medical astrology, Vedic astrology, just a plethora of different things.
Very cool.
And when you first get out of school, you have to decide, what did you learn that you really want to keep?
Yeah.
So I don't really work with fixed stars. I really kind of stay with the basics. Do use traditional and modern astrology. So I do look at the rulerships for both.
Cool.
But you kind of have to find what you need.
Right. And
what resonates with you.
What resonates with you in order to give that to the collective. So interesting. How long was that certification process?
I took it really long. I spent a really long time doing it because I was a parent, so I was raising a son. I had a job, so I took a couple years to go through it. I think if you go through it on its normal track, like maybe 3 years.
Wow, that's really like college. So interesting. And you learn the history, you learn how to read the birth charts, you have all that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And do you have to do like
You have homework.
you have homework
You
and
have
you read
homework.
like your family's charts or something?
You're going to read a whole bunch of charts.
Wow.
You have homework. You have to calculate a chart by hand.
I can only imagine.
Awful.
I can only
I did it
imagine.
once to pass the course.
Yeah.
Never want to do it again. I mean, it was kind of cool, but it stressed me out.
It's intense. I can only imagine. Just looking at it is overwhelming. So cool. So how does it differ as an astrologer and the information that you can provide, like from reading an individual's chart to providing collective guidance? Like, how do you, like in your meditations, for example, kind of give generalities? Is it based on just where the planets are at the moment?
Yeah, so it does differ. I predominantly look at natal charts. When I do meditations for stars and stillness, I'm working on, the eclipses coming up. First, I want to see what is something big that we're working with, right? So eclipse is a big deal. So I'm looking at the chart and I'm literally sometimes just staring at the chart going, what is the chart trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, what is the energy of the chart? And then I want to think about what positive thing or what can people use from this energy? Like, where can I take them to sit, to reflect? If you know the area of life that specifically the eclipse is going to happen, that's great. Then you can meditate on that area. But if you don't know, I want to make it tangible for people to really pull something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have an eclipse coming, say, is everyone affected by it? Or it depends on where it falls in your specific chart?
Both.
Okay.
So I like to say everyone's going to experience the eclipse. Just like everyone in the city, if it's raining in Cleveland, everyone's experiencing the rain in Cleveland, right? Everyone's going to have the eclipse somewhere in their chart. Where it starts to change is if that eclipse is aspecting your personal planets. And that is like your house getting struck by lightning. Same rain, but that lightning hit your house.
Interesting.
So that will change the way that the eclipse is manifesting for you versus me. Again, you can't make broad strokes. How is it affecting your natal chart?
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I love your meditations because it is obviously a general collective insight, but you almost kind of bring awareness to how this could affect us personally and how to navigate those waters that are shifting.
Right.
And it almost kind of makes you think then when you're in, even if you hadn't had the personal reading, but you're, finish your meditation, you're going and living life and you experience some of these challenges or whatever it may be, kind of allows you to go back to that and say, okay, like, why is this happening? Where can I navigate this a little differently, knowing that this is a shakeup collectively?
Yes, it's one of the things I'm so grateful for that I study astrology because that's what I want to know.
Yeah, is like how
to navigate the shakeups.
And how do you feel, are there different times throughout history where there's more intensity collectively?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Are we in one?
Well, we're definitely in one.
Yeah. Because it just feels like the energy right now collectively is like chaotic.
And astrologers have been talking about it for a while. Those outer planets, they're moving into new signs. That's huge. Those are the collective planets.
Yeah.
So, we are, and I'm working on a blog post as well. And, I'm just finishing up the Yellowstone series. Like the Yellowstone is like, what is it? 822 and then 1923, something along those lines. And I'm just fascinated, by these pioneers. And it's what I've started kind of putting into my blog post because that is actually kind of how we are moving into 2026. Very pioneer energy, but through, how do I say it? Like new age stuff, right? Visionaries, like the pioneers, the frontier, like these are the people that had these dreams that they had to forge the way. And that's where we're going.
Totally. It does feel like a new horizon.
It is a new horizon. Our world, our country, it's a changing.
Yeah, and I think that's positive. I think there's opportunity and change. And I feel it. I mean, in the work that I do, which is all about helping consumers live more consciously and be aware of what they're putting in their body and how ingredients can affect them, or what they're watching, Body, Mind, and Soul, how that's affecting them. And I think I've noticed a real intense shift over the last even year or so, with people being like, what is in my food? And what am I consuming all day, every day on TikTok? And just starting to feel this collective awareness that maybe some of these conveniences that we've gotten so connected to may not be serving us.
Absolutely.
And I love that thought. That's why I always say I'm trying to pioneer a collective consumer revolution, because it's change.
That's what's happening.
It's powerful, and we got to shift it up if we're not healthy.
It is. And you are absolutely going to have, the people go, no. No one likes change.
Yeah, totally. It's hard. It's definitely not going to be easy.
No one likes change.
Yeah.
But, clients, students, is it good or bad? It's neither.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
Right? The country, the world, the earth, everything evolves.
Everything evolves. Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned the pioneers in Yellowstone. I was in Amish country this weekend. I just went to this little cabin and got away to kind of reset for the new year. And I went to this little town called Charm, Ohio.
Okay.
It was so freaking cute. And I just started really thinking about the way that these people, I mean, this is an hour and a half from Cleveland. This is not far.
Right.
Are living so differently than us. And it's this kind of local community based, back to basics, simple life that just inspired me tremendously. And I think a lot of the advancements that we've had, logically, convenience wise, have obviously made life more powerful maybe. Yeah. But there's also, I think, an opportunity to go back to the basics that have always served us and not disregard them, but almost bring a new awareness to how we can utilize some of these practices in a more modern life.
Everything in life is balance. I mean, we can't have one extreme or the other. Everything in life is balance.
It is. And I think, for everything from the food we eat, but then even it's these practices that we do, astrology, meditation, yoga, these spiritual practices, prayer. I mean, this is all stuff that humans have used and utilized forever to evolve.
Yes.
And we've gotten so far away from some of these practices as a modern society. And so I think and that's why I think it's timely to have you on. It's there's such power in learning.
There is.
Yeah. So how is astrology? There's different, you mentioned natal. One thing that I think's kind of gotten popular-ish as of recently is human design.
I know nothing about it.
You know nothing about it? So it's not part of the astrology curriculum.
No.
Okay.
It's not.
It's definitely a more new age.
I don't know what. I honestly, I don't know what it is. I know of it.
Because it's based on your birth time too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. But no, I know, honestly, I know nothing about it. And I'm not a great person to go get a human design reading, or I'm not a great person to go get a psychic reading.
Yeah.
Because I know my astrology.
Right.
And I'm an astrologer.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me things that don't line up with what I know, I'm just really bad at it.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine because you have the insight.
Yeah.
So it's your BS meter is on 100.
Yeah, so I don't even go.
So your chart, I mean, have you ever had a reading in your life that's really kind of been so intuitive and helped you learn, or has it always kind of been because of the knowledge that you've gained, you've been able to learn it for yourself?
Oh, no. I have, when I was first born, my mom went to an astrologer, and this astrologer told her that at some point in my life, I would become an astrologer. Just wait, it gets better.
Literally have chills.
She became my mentor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And my mom didn't actually tell me the story until I started taking classes. So
that's wild.
Yeah.
So it's not you grew up with this thing in your mind.
No,
I'm going to be
not at all. And I remember
Wow.
telling her that even though I was going through school, I did the same thing when I went through YTT. Even though I was going through school, I'm I don't think I'm going to read charts. Like, I think I'm just taking it to understand.
Yeah.
I also never saw myself working with clients.
Wow.
So again, I let the universe kind of just guide me to where I was gonna go. But no, I did have readings. My mentor did, I did have readings through my mentor. Even now, times, I had a big health thing in 2025. Yeah. Sometimes I get stuck in my own chart because I can't be objective. So I will reach out to her and say, hey, we need to look at this.
And it gives you a different perspective.
Well, that way I don't get freak out, right?
Yeah. So how have you navigated, would you mind talking a little bit about your health issue that you've had and how you've used some of these practices that are so powerful in your life to navigate them?
Yeah. So one of the classes that we have to take through school is medical astrology. So I did have to take medical astrology. So I know the foundation of medical astrology. And in 2025, so my birthday in 2024, so I'm a Scorpio. So my birthday in 2024, like any good astrologer, I'm looking at my solar return chart. I'm like, okay, what does 2025 look like? Yeah. So I'm looking at the transits and I'm looking at the solar return. I was like, ew. I'm like, I need to look at what's going on with my health. Like, It was very clear that there was something going on with my health.
And you typically will do this like on an annual basis?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think as any good astrologer, you need to be paying attention to what's going on in your own life.
Yeah.
So I had seen some health things coming up. I'm a Pisces rising, so Saturn was in Pisces. So I had already been doing kind of like the Saturn, Neptune thing, was working a lot more on, better boundaries. I started getting a massage once a month, like paying attention. I didn't really have any bone issues going on. I wanted to straighten out my teeth. I had a crooked tooth, right? Saturn rules teeth and bones. So I was doing the Saturn work. But when I was looking at all of these charts for 2025, it definitely had my alarm bell going off.
Interesting.
So I started emailing my PCP going, I need blood work. Well, I wasn't due for blood work. And I was like, no. I need blood work. Wow. So I pushed the blood work thing. Blood work comes back. I had elevated cholesterol, not like, crazy, by their terms, slightly elevated. I had slightly higher glucose, and I'm like, that's not it. Like, I'm looking at the charts going, that's not it. Went to see my brother in Atlanta in March of 2025, and I said, I need to go for a mammogram, because the way that the chart was reading is that something was hidden, was coming to light, right? It was this very like foundational change. Elevated glucose is not a foundational change.
Totally.
Venus rules the breasts. Venus also, I have Venus in Scorpio, so we're also talking about hormonal stuff.
Wow.
So I typically go for thermal imaging. I don't go for mammograms. But because I was going, okay, blood work's fine, like everything else is kind of pointing me to the breasts. I had implants, so I suspected like maybe I have a leak in an implant,
like an
right?
issue with it, or
right, and like
sort,
maybe they have to take them out, and I'm really unhappy, and I'm questioning my self-worth and beauty. Like maybe that's what it is. Like that could totally be it. But something's going on. They would not. I didn't want to get a mammogram. They wouldn't let me just skip to ultrasound, so I went in for a mammogram, and I came up with, to make a really long story short, it was originally stage 0 breast cancer. So had I not been paying attention, so had I not been paying attention to my chart, how long I would have not ignored it.
Exactly. And when in God's name would you have found that, or your health, until you were at stage whatever?
So I wasn't freaked out. If you like, everyone in my life was freaking out, and I was like really calm because I knew from the chart it couldn't have, it'll be fine. So when you elect to do anything surgery, I did not get to pick. I knew right away that I was going to have a double mastectomy. Just the way my chart was set up, I have a lot of eighth house planets, that's the house of surgery. So I knew right away I was going to have a double mastectomy. I was going to have reconstruction, and that's what I was going to do. The chart that I got for the double mastectomy, I was not in love with. because I wanted a good chart. I wanted a good chart for a good outcome. It's not that the outcome was bad. However, it gave me a wild card. So there was something about the chart that I had to kind of
astrological chart.
Yes, the astrological chart of the date of the surgery. That it's not that I wasn't going to like it, but it was a wild card. Something was going to come up.
There was like an unknown of sorts.
And the unknown was that I went from stage 0 to stage 1. Still early stage breast cancer, but again, it was the wild card. There was something that I could not control, right? So, I healed well. It was a very hard part. Someone who's very in tune to their body, who really do pride myself, even though I was a smoker, I really do pride myself on taking care of myself. It was very hard to see my body shift and change. Specifically, I had a nipple sparring double mastectomy. So they saved the nipples. And, the cancer was in the left breast. And I thought I was going to lose this nipple. Like, it turned black. It was like, it's heartbreaking. Like, it was heartbreaking to see my body die in a way. Like it was very, very hard, but I pulled through. Everything pulled through. I met with oncology, and this is where the emotions started to flood in because I had to make a choice. So because I ended up with stage 1, they wanted to give me chemo. And I went back to my chart. And I'm going, okay, do I have a chart that says that chemo is the best answer to this? Well, in medical astrology, they have their own set of charts and their own set of rules to help you treat your illness. So I opted out of chemo, and it was by far the hardest decision I've ever had to make. Like, I've never been so emotional over the process than this, because every oncologist looked at me like I was going to die. Every oncologist, everyone.
So intense.
You need to stick to these guidelines, and those guidelines only.
Yeah. And there is no deviation.
There is no deviation. I was lumped into a group of women.
Right.
We all fell into this category. That was really, really hard.
Wow. I can only imagine. But I mean, you are healed now, correct?
I am healed. After interviewing 4 oncologists, I did find one that let me approach my healing through holistic medicine, functional medicine. So because of that, I did have my ovaries removed, and I did go on a hormone blocker. When you elect to do anything, even take medication, when I got my ovaries removed, that as well, I did get the chart that I wanted. So I have bounced back beautifully. But
wow, what an incredible...
Now is just the taking care of my body to remain cancer-free.
Absolutely. And when did you get when do you feel like, because 2025 wasn't that long ago.
No.
So it's like this was a really
my last surgery,
big year for you.
Yeah, my last surgery was October 15th, and that's when I had my ovaries removed.
Wow. And you're back to teaching and feeling like you're finding some sort of semblance of routine again for your body.
Yes, finally.
Yeah,
thank goodness.
which
I was going to say, I haven't been able to practice well, because no sooner did, I heal from one surgery that I had to go to another surgery.
Well, I didn't even know this story prior to you coming on the podcast, but I think it's truly a testament to the power of the work that you do, both astrologically and spiritually, to have the ability to trust yourself like that. Because most people do not. And as someone who's lost both parents to what I would say is not cancer, is to chemotherapy. In both cases. Killed my dad physically and my mom mentally. She beat the cancer, quote unquote. She was never the same again mentally. Early onset dementia at age 60,
Wow.
2 years after the cancer, so it's like,
Yeah.
I just have this different experience of where we didn't have the tools at the time as a family to say what other options could maybe we go through, and or find it early enough or know our bodies intuitively enough to demand different options through the healthcare system. It is a testament to really being an advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
To trusting yourself and to having some serious faith in God and your plan. And here you are, healthy, you have your hair.
Yeah.
Wow, girl.
I think stress, we were talking about cortisol. I think stress was a huge contributor to the cancer. I also don't believe that one thing caused it. So if one thing isn't going to cause it, then one thing isn't going to be a miracle cure. So again, I'm confident. I feel good about the decision that I made for the double mastectomy to get my ovaries removed. That was very clear in my chart.
Yeah.
But also the other thing that is very clear in my personal astrology is about supporting through nutrition, through health, through detox pathways as well.
Yeah.
Something that I got super lazy with. Dry brushing, how
sweating,
powerful
the lymphatic system
yeah,
is.
like things that I just got really lazy in that the universe was like, no, you need to get back on track. And I also really wanted to do something else with my astrology, but I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
But after all of this, I was like, no, I'm diving headfirst into medical astrology to help other people. Now, using my chart as an example, if a client came in, I would never say, you have breast cancer. That I would never do. However, I would map it out, start looking at your health.
Absolutely.
Like, I can still guide people to advocate for themselves.
Absolutely. And to have awareness of, like you did.
Yes.
I mean, you kind of like got the awareness and then went through this path of, okay, start with blood work.
Yes.
You know, it's not like your doctor was calling you saying, hey, it's time, come on in for blood work.
Exactly.
You just started this process of saying, am I living and understanding enough about my body to where I could identify where there could be an issue?
Right.
And then you like slowly got to this point where I do think it's obviously like the awareness of the astrology, but then this like spiritual side of doing this meditative work to like sit with this and sit with that awareness and say, where is this and how is this? It's because it's not like you looked at your chart and were like, cool, Cancer, got it.
No, right.
You know, so it's really just this journey and perspective shift that you can go on. Wow, no one really talks about medical astrology.
No, and medical astrology was actually part of the universities, you know, back in the day.
Yeah, like regular college.
Right. Well, yes.
Wow. Yes. I want to know all about it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, so at some
interesting.
point in life, it was like the 1500s. I can't think of, you know, when it was. You know, astrology was part of our health system.
Wow. So are there any core things in your daily routine now that you're getting back to somewhat, you know, like normal that you do to like try to stay in a balanced space, both physically, mentally, and emotionally to be your healthiest version?
Yes. I sit in the infrared sauna now twice a week. Sit in the infrared sauna.
So powerful for detox.
It is. Have to learn. I do a better job at saying no. So I still have that Saturn in my first house. You know, I am cancer free and I will remain cancer free. But there are some things in my personal astrology that I'm already aware of that I will have to tweak a little, you know? So being aware of that, I do have an increase in supplements, which I don't love. But one of the things that I did is I found a functional medicine doctor and we did micronutrient testing so that I could look at what I actually really need to keep my cells healthy and what I don't need. So that I'm not taking things just randomly because they look good. Yeah. And then, you know, which things cause inflammation in my body.
Wow. And then are you meditating daily?
That I save that for my infrared sauna.
You meditate when you're in your infrared sauna. Because I do think, I personally think from a physical standpoint, I dial in pretty closely like you on nutrition, on obviously like toxin reduction, working out, things like that. But the stress and the anxiety side of me, I'm also a Scorpio, but I was also like diagnosed with OCD when I was little. Like I've always had this like ego mind that tends to cause chaos within me. And we don't always realize that like 95% of disease is caused by stress.
Oh yeah. I'm confident it was stress.
Yeah. And so it's like finding ways to live more peaceful is such a powerful thing and not this like woo-woo.
Yes,
thing.
exactly. Exactly.
Wow. That's So interesting. And I think so moving forwards, or even like in the past, like what are your typical clients? Do they tend to be people who just like want to know more? Do people often come to you with like, hey, I'm having this issue and I need to know what's going on?
So up until this experience, I was only doing natal astrology. I've since opened up into the medical astrology, and I will be taking extra courses with a medical astrologer in Australia, deepening that practice, opening up my client base to medical astrology. And the medical astrology part is a health assessment. So I will look at your natal chart, right? Because you're going to have, just like I did, I have a hormonal thing natally in my chart. I have a hormonal aspect natally in my chart. So a health assessment of your natal chart, I'll write it all up, and then we'll meet to go over that. But I'll also look at any transits that are kind of coming up that might, kind of like me, say, hey, I want you to pay attention to these things around this time period. Or you can come in, if you already have something health related.
Right.
With the yoga studio that I teach at, we have opened up, it's called Aya Wellness, and it's astrology, yoga, and Ayurveda. Whoa. So I need to stay in my lane. I'm not a nutritionist, right? I'm not an Ayurvedic practitioner. I know the astrology part of medical astrology. So we've developed this program, this journey. So you start with a health assessment with me. I then take that information and pass it over to our Ayurvedic practitioner.
Very cool.
And then you have your own yoga piece, that whether that is physical practice, meditation, any type of healing modality. So it is your wellness package, specifically around what you need.
What you need. That's so incredible. And it goes back to, I don't want to hate on the standard medical community. And especially, I think sometimes, and even in my past, just kind of what my family went through, I think it was an awareness that I gained through the process that one like mode of thinking doesn't holistically heal. So it's opening yourself to the fact that you can take a piece from the medical side. You can take a piece from an astrological resource. You can take a piece from a nutritionist, from an Ayurvedic specialist, and really create this awareness holistically of how you can live better and healthier. And that's so powerful. And we have access to learning now on such a different level that it's incredible to see that you guys are trying to put something into practice that's easier for consumers to
And I think
achieve.
that this is, again, we're pioneering, right?
Yeah.
I think that this is a new way of looking at our health, something that is based in the tradition from the past, but bringing it, into the future in a new way. To tell you how upset I was that modern medicine, so in one of my interviews with one of the oncologists, we were talking about chemotherapy, and my tumor was very small.
Yeah.
Like super small, stage 1. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like super small. And I had one. There was like no surprises. I didn't have in my lymph nodes.
Totally.
So, we're talking about the chemo, the same chemo that my grandfather had when he had lung cancer. Nothing's changed. It's the same chemo. And this oncologist said to me, but we have new drugs now for any type of side effects that you get. I'm sure you're feeling the way that I was feeling, going, you've got to be kidding me. I don't take an aspirin.
Exactly. So wild.
And you want to pump me with more stuff? Not gonna lie, it's very scary. When you have big medical world saying you're making a horrible decision.
Totally. But it's like there's so many people who are having detrimental outcomes to keeping their blinders on, just blindly following that one resource. And there's value in that resource, but there's so much value in opening your horizons to these other experts and opportunities that you have to heal. Even if, I think back to my parents and I'm like, even if they had some sort of guidance, nutritionally, spiritually, emotionally on how to navigate the chemotherapy, maybe it wouldn't have killed them from the inside out had they been juicing, fueling their body through the process. There's so many ways that we can be expanding on creating a more holistic, better outcome.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's just not taught in medical school. It's like crazy for these oncologists to even think that you would go another way.
Oh yeah.
And so it's scary. Like you really have
It
to
is
like
very
trust
scary.
yourself.
Yes. And you've said it a couple times. It is the whole person. It
Yes.
is the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual that I have to remember. I have a sheet on my refrigerator, and it's kind of like this mental checklist to make sure that I'm still touching base on all of that.
Yes. And it's so true. And I don't think it's random that you guys are pioneering this new way of helping people heal in this area, because this area being this like hotbed of the Cleveland Clinic, almost everyone you know has been touched by cancer in some
Yes.
sort of way, whether themselves or a family member, and the resources are limited.
Yeah.
That's really why I want to be here, is to help like advocate for voices and knowledge of learning differently.
Yeah.
So cool what you guys are doing.
I want to say you reminded me of something. I don't have, in my specific natal chart, I don't have what looks like a breast cancer signature.
Yeah.
So I would never in a million years would have thought that I would have developed breast cancer. So when I looked at all of the charts compiled, the transits set themselves up in a way to manifest the breast cancer.
So interesting.
So again, I have this hormonal piece that's natal in my chart, carry that around with me, but the breast cancer signature, I did not. Like some are very strong. You can see it in their chart.
But that might be kind of like a testament to this free will versus fate thing.
Maybe, absolutely.
And maybe there is this kind of like fate that exists within the natal chart, but we do have like this free
Absolutely.
will to learn and create patterns and habits and things that might allow us to say like, I'm going to switch my habits up and live differently and not get that cancer.
Absolutely. I mean, it's again, it was very Plutonian, so it's a very it's been a very life altering experience.
I mean, it just seems so divine for you, and now to be able to help other people with
Yes.
what you've experienced it's like taking your profession to an entire another level.
I'm very excited about it.
That's so cool. And seriously, you're such an inspiration. Like, thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of people that can really take value even from just like hearing how you navigated that.
Oh, thank you.
So beautiful. So switching up a little bit back to like just astrology for a second before we get more to the end of our podcast. How important are full moons? And what are you seeing? Just like generally, we don't have to go to too much detail for, we're in a new year now. What do you see here at the onset that maybe we should be aware of collectively? Because we just had a full moon yesterday.
We did have a full moon. We had a full moon. Full moons, new moons. I think that they are great for ritual. I think they're great for keeping you on a ritual. As an astrologer, I don't pay much attention to them. I pay attention to the eclipses, right? Because those are the ones that are changing fate, right? Moving our needle in a direction. So that's what I would say about full moons and new moons. I also like to look at bigger cycles. So in the new moon circle that I have, I will look at the degree of the new moon, and then I will find the full moon, which is usually about a year and a half later.
Okay.
Around that same degree.
Interesting.
As a culmination.
Okay.
So I like the bigger cycles because I think that we need time. If astrology is math, then I want to know the degree of the new moon, and then I want to know that same degree or around that degree when it comes to fullness.
Got it.
So I look at a little bit bigger cycles typically.
That makes sense.
And then collectively, what is your dream? What is it that you're going to pioneer? Is really what it's about. And it's about having the confidence to do it.
Powerful.
Yeah.
What does the year of the horse mean?
That is Chinese.
That's Chinese astrology.
Astrology.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Because to me, it like goes right with everything you're saying, like from a pioneering standpoint.
I like that. Yeah.
And it's like kind of putting into momentum
I agree.
these skills or insights or talents that you have to like take us forward.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, I wear my year of the horse.
I like the year of the horse.
Me too. And it's just like, I mean, when you think about, I don't know Chinese astrology very deeply, but, last year being the year of the snake and a lot of shedding. I mean, I know personally, I went through a lot of big shifts. I had to remove a lot of learned patterns, and it almost feels like it was kind of like a clearing to now step into more confident stoic energy to be able to put my light in the world in a confident way.
Astrologically, you have all of these outer planets at the ending of degrees, right? So they're at a finishing degree.
Yeah.
They're in the shedding of the degree, and now we have all of this new raw energy being at 0 degrees. So again, that emergence, that brand new drive forward.
So cool. Okay, so where can people find you?
Yeah. So I'm at Half Moon Yoga in Medina, and I also teach in Richfield. And that's, if people want in-person one-on-one readings, it is at a Half Moon in Medina. Okay. But I also do phone and, FaceTime virtual readings as well.
Cool. And out of Half Moon is where you guys are going to be doing this.
The Aya Wellness, yep. So
very cool.
The Ayurvedic practitioner is there. She has her space. Lauren, who's the owner of Half Moon Yoga, she will do her part in kind of putting together your yoga program for you. And with the package for Aya Wellness, you do also get yoga classes.
Very cool.
So you get the one-on-one reading, you get your Ayurvedic meeting appointment, and then you get your yoga and your yoga classes as well.
And that's active already?
That's active already.
Amazing. And where can we find your blogs?
On my website.
On your website?
At sage@stonehaven.com.
Sage@stonehaven.com. And are you going to be doing more insight timer?
I am. I'm working.
I love them.
Yeah, I'm working on the eclipse right now in February.
Cool. Okay, cool. And there's all free?
They're all free.
Yeah, and it's just such a beautiful way to find perspective and meditate on the shifts that are happening collectively.
My personal favorite is the Inanna story. So the Venus retrograde. We are going to have another Venus retrograde, so we can always go back to that one. Yeah. And Chiron. But those are, the Chiron meditation is also one of my favorites.
It is such a good one. Yeah, I've listened to all of them, and they're all super powerful. And then your Instagram.
Yes, Astro Yogi. CLE. I had to think about that for a minute.
And I love it. It's just a great resource and, guides to your community as well, and other professionals and people that you're working with, and the beautiful yoga practice that you have.
Well, thank you. And there are real astrologers out there.
Yeah.
And then there are not real astrologers out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Absolutely. And I think it goes back to the whole reason why I do this podcast, which is real learned experience really drives so much. And you've really used these practices that you preach to navigate your own life. And that's such a powerful thing that you can then share with others.
Well, thank you. And there are, astrologers that put out videos all the time. I don't love being in front of the camera. I'm a Scorpio. So, I kind of like to be behind the scenes a little bit. Yeah. So the writing part I love. But there are some astrologers that do really great podcasts. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, for sure.
Just not where I feel comfortable.
Well, you're a wealth of knowledge in all the mediums that you put out there, and like I said, your classes are incredible. So
thank you.
A lot of different ways that we can continue to learn from you.
Well, thank you.
And if someone wants a private reading, do they just go to your page?
They just go to my page. All of the information is on there. And then we kind of coordinate scheduling. I try and make it as accommodating as possible.
You prefer in person if you can, or
doesn't matter to me.
As long as you have the accurate chart.
Yeah, it's the client who there are some clients who just really want to be in person, and then some that don't care. And some of them aren't in the state of Ohio.
Which helps, as we don't, there are people that listen to this too that aren't local. Yeah. Cool. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for the invite. I really appreciate it.
You're an absolute light and gift to especially the Midwest, but to the world in general, and an inspiration. So really appreciate you so much, guys. If you want to learn more or go back to any other podcasts, you can find all of the episodes at TheCheekyClean.com/podcast. Follow me at The Cheeky Clean and at ConsciousCart, where you will find the collagen, the first of many products that you can shop safely. And with that, we'll see you next week. Thanks again, Lisa.
Thank you so much.